Okay, so to get back to our science, we sort of need to find a way to answer a couple questions. How long should our trains be, and how many locomotives should be on it? That question is answered by a couple pieces of like objective science we could do, which would be what's the fastest setup? Is it 2 locomotives, 1 freight car, 1 freight car, 1 locomotive, et cetera, et cetera? We can do that science, but it's also kind of just answered by part of the consideration is just frankly like our needs and wants. If we make trains that are 16 locomotives and 2 freight cars long, even if that's very fucking fast, it's using a ton of power and a ton of length space to deliver 64 slots of an item, which might be worth it in some cases, but most likely I think is probably not particularly like it or particularly useful. So somewhere in the wash of prioritizing space and quickness of how quickly you can deliver the freight car, and what is most efficient or fast, somewhere and uses less power, somewhere in there is an ideal solution. What can we do to help us? What science can I do to help us solve that? Well, I think one thing to do could just be, let's do it from up here because we can maybe use it for, if we build it once, we can actually use it for something else too. One thing we could do is just one straight long track. And see how long it and see how long it takes us to go certain distances with different train setups. I don't think we necessarily want to build a curve into it, because ideally, of course, there will be curves in the real world, but ideally we are aiming for as few curves as possible in our builds, because we know that slows things down. Of course, we're going to have to add them, but that's that ain't the point. Ryan, hear me out. Train jousting. I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at a lot. The game has given me zero sense that the trains can be damaged, but I do like where your head's at. The thing about what we're doing right now, too, is if we build it correctly, it will function as our as the train line over to our oil. So that's cool. I do like the idea of elevating trains, get them off of the nasty ground where elevation changes happen. If you elevate them, then it's easier to build and probably also tear down. I don't know. It's probably easier to belt material up or conveyor lift it up to a train station than it is to make a train go up and down elevation. Like, what I know about trains from the real world is like trains hate climbing elevation. Oh boy, speaking of, we're too low. Okay, we probably should have been higher. Shit. It's all right. We're floating out over an abyss right now, so we're not actually in trouble, right? I also hate climbing elevation. You and a train are exactly the same in one very key way. I love this game. This game's so much fun. The reason I'm making it so wide is my thought is every train is going to have to go there and back. We're going to have to do a loop on one end. And it... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let me get out Microsoft Paint. This is what I love, and this is what I meant by dread. This is what I love and hate about trains in factory games. Or things like this, right? It's a more complicated logistic system. So here's the problem. Here's the like debate. right? You've got like unloading. This is where all material is trying to go, you know? This is resource number 1. Resource number 2. Resource number 3. If we're building our tracks with red, right now we're working on this one. We've got train station here. It makes sense to me to line train stations up this way rather than line them up like this, because that's fucking yikes. But then with our lines, what do we do? Do we run this one? Should actually probably be this one. Do we run it like this? And if we're doing that, and it's traveling this way, right? At the end of the thing, we need to get it back. Then we have to do this. Does it make sense then to get to 2 to do a, especially if we have to build the like underlying, like underneath here is foundation, right? Which you don't have to do, but like so far it seems valuable to do it. Does it make sense to piggyback off of that same foundation and then do this? At this point, though, if you're using 2 separate train lines, does it not make sense to use the same train line? The problem is then you have mergers. You have mergers you have to figure out, right? You've got, and that probably involves train signals. Pro, use less material. Con, you have to signal it correctly, and trains sometimes have to wait. And if a train is waiting, then you're not hitting your quota on this end for unloading, right? On the other hand, with so much of the exact same route here, it makes a lot of it would make a lot of sense to use the same line. Then all of a sudden you've got 3. Does it really make sense to build a line here? Like even if you're using the same line, does it really make sense to do this? To reuse all that infrastructure and then go here? Just to come back? Or if we resolve this a different way. That was with 3 separate lines. You could do this, and then you merge. You could do this, then you merge. Could also do this. Do this. That last one's probably bad. It would probably be more... that could work, actually. Oh, you know what's funny about this solution? This probably has a lot of appeal, right? This solution has a lot of appeal. Guess why it has a major fucking problem? Actually, it's solvable. It's solvable. It's solvable. If you zoom in way down here, the thing with the train stations, the freight stations, is that they unload on one side. They unload on one side only, it looks like. Meaning this train has to run this way so that it unloads on the right. This train has to run this way as well so that it unloads on the right. Like the direction you make it go matters. That said, some games... How do I zoom out again? There you go. Some games will allow you, and I don't know if this one will. We'll see. We'll find out in a second. Some games will allow you to... Nope, I need the pin. To run a train this way on the track, and then when it gets to the end, turn it around and run it back. You put a locomotive on both ends facing different directions. If you do that, you better not be running another train on the same track because then they're headed opposite directions. So does it make sense to do no loops? Does it make sense to do loops that borrow the same track? I would say, we'll see if I can run trains in both directions. I would say, my guess is no, you cannot run trains in both directions because the train stations have directional pads on them. But when you place them, my honest guess is to do, and what I tend to do is something like this. Share track most of the time. Shit, this is going to be ugly. Share track most of the time for infrastructure. Be something like this. This probably would continue up even further and do this. If you cannot do one directional, then what it would look like would be... This is such a Factorio train system, by the way. Then what it would look like would be... Sorry, I'm doing the math. So this goes this way. You split them up because they probably go into different stations so that they unload their materials in good ways, so that, like, iron goes here, oil goes there, something else goes here. So then over here you can, like, load on to one, and then an empty train comes in and has to do a loop to get back to... So the station itself is actually, like, right here, facing this way. Then, of course, you'd need, like, loops. You'd need... Ignore all of this. You need loops to get you on the right side of the track. I would tend to say, if I had to solve this problem right now, knowing no more information, I would probably solve it this way. It's what I'm most comfortable with and familiar with. There's on everywhere you go, there are 2 tracks. You use, like, a central vein that goes through most of the map, and then you tear off of it when you need something else. That is going to assume that we have good train signaling. Like, the signaling is very... I don't even know how to phrase it. That's going to assume that the signaling is, like... Do we even have signaling? I don't fucking remember. Is sensical and easy to set up, and the trains obey it really, really reliably, etc., etc., etc. I think I haven't unlocked signals. I think that might be it. Let's test a couple things here. Trains in this game are what made me really wish building worked like Factorio. Copy-paste from map view and send bots is so much easier to physically build. I'm already sort of dreading the idea that I need to walk this far all the way up here. Building physical track. But it's all right. You said it, not me. Here's what we want to test. Oh boy, I really do not know how this is going to work. If it will work. You can put 2 locomotives on opposite ends. They're not doing tug of war. If I name this one 1 and exit, is this one named 1? It is. Okay. Okay. That means they use the same timetable. I mean, I might as well fucking... See, these have directions, which I find very interesting. Nice. I did nail that shit. Okay. There's no power, so... Ah! God, I hope anything that I'm saying is making sense. RIP to all the people who are normally lost on this, so that's Samira and Goes. RIP to the people who are normally lost when we play this game and are now even more lost than possible. Oh, interesting. It only picks the stations that are there on your... along this track. I mean, let's try it. Self-driving. Oh, we got a red light. Is it because it's the back? We should go forward, wait 15 seconds, and then maybe go back. And if that happens, this is really interesting. It did not wait 15 seconds. That's for damn sure. Why not? I mean, did I one load has been completed? Oh, there's no freight station. Interesting. If there's no freight station, it just goes there, then immediately it recognizes that it cannot complete it, and therefore... Oh, we're learning things. Okay. So because there's no freight station here, that braking noise is actually kind of grating on my ears. We could probably use that to our advantage somehow. The fact that it goes and then quickly... Okay. Okay. So the real question is going to be... Oh, boy. Here's the other problem. We also now have smart splitters. I'm missing an AI limiter. Shit. We have smart splitters now. Meaning I technically could probably use one. One unloading station or fewer unloading station, and then just sort the material afterwards. Right? Is that correct? So my debate here is if we have one train for every, like, material and or outpost, like our oil outpost will have at least 2 materials, then, like, when it comes in here, there's an unloading thing right here, right? This is set to unload. And it has, I think that's 2 train, it's 64 slots, yeah, so 2 trains worth of slots. So say it unloads. Oh, the problem with this is that you get backups. You would absolutely get backups if you fucked this up and did it wrong. So we could use, it would be like right here. Nope, it'd be right here. If we used a smart splitter and then had left output be like plastic and the other one be rubber, and this you can be like any undefined, overflow, whatever, then you could use one freight. The problem would be if this right here fills up with plastic, then it can't unload rubber. And the way it would fill up with plastic would be like the plastic line is filled up, meaning basically if this belt becomes all plastic, I think you have a problem. Or if this gets filled with plastic. So I don't like that idea. Sounds like a way to really fuck myself over for the future. So what system makes the most sense for us? On the other hand, since we can't do that, that would mean this has to have either 2 freight cars, one with plastic, one with rubber, / one with fluid if we're doing that too. Meaning 2 freight stations. Meaning belts come out of each. Those belts are going to have to run into probably a little bit of like industrial storage containers to give us a little bit of a what's the word for that? To give us a little bit of a like an excess, some wiggle room, and then down into the factory. So each belt would be dedicated to the material that it is that it's doing, which means we need a ton. Every new item that we train in Oh my god, this is where it gets even more complex. Oh shit, chat. This is where it gets even more complex. We have to do more testing. We need 2 trains on this line. If 2 trains want to go to the same station, will the second one... If 2 trains want to go to the same station, but one train is already there, will the second one... This is all rhetorical. I'm just talking through it out loud. Will the second one wait where it started, or will it wait right behind and therefore block the tracks? It can wait basically at its outbound station, or... This is a thing that you solve in the F game by... in the most complex way possible. Does anyone in chat know how you solve this problem in Factorio? Because I can commiserate with you about how complex it is. How not complex, it's just like kind of annoying, kind of ingenious. Oh boy. How do we test this? Long story short, the way you do it in Factorio is the train station gives a signal about whether or not it is occupied. If there is a train sitting here, then the train signal says, I'm occupied. And you send that signal over the power lines to every other train station in the world. And that train station can only accept it. A new train can only head for it if it's empty. Oh boy. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do instead. Since we're testing our multiple train station thing, and we also want to test the like how fast do trains go if they have different lengths and stuff. What we want to do here is... Track is too long. I hope that's straight. We're gonna have to put a split in the tracks up here. So much learning, we love it. We're trying. We're trying. I'm sure there's things I'm ignoring too still. Uh-oh. I'm sure there's things I'm missing. Here's what we need to do. I need to go check and see if there's train signals, because if not, this is going to change things. I'm pretty sure there are train signals. I just don't think I've, like, researched it or something. Factorio 2.0 had crazy upgrades to trains and circuits. Not sure I should say more. I appreciate that, because I would love to play it someday, and I still haven't, but... I like that. Interesting. Upgrades to trains and circuits. Interesting. Oh boy, what a game. What a game. So here. Railway signaling, that's right. We don't have it yet. Block signal directs the movement of trains to avoid collisions and bottlenecks. Block signals can be placed on railways to create a block between them. When a train is occupying one of those blocks, other trains will be unable to enter it. Caution signals are directional. That's huge. Trains are unable to move against this direction. So be sure to set up signals in both directions if you are going to do bi-directional railways. Path signal directs the movement of trains to avoid collisions and bottlenecks. Path signals are advanced signals that are especially useful for bi-directional railways and complex intersections. They function similarly to block signals, but rather than occupying the entire blocks, trains can reverse... What did it say? Trains can... It scrolled too quickly. Can reserve a specific path through it. It will only enter the block if their path allows them to fully pass through it. It makes sense. Caution signals are directional. I think we probably do not want to go with one-directional trains. I think that would probably drive me crazy. I think we probably want to do multi-directional trains and like arteries and veins through the world that we then build off of to go get other items. That might cause some backups because it does not seem like we necessarily have the capacity, like F-word game, to determine whether or not a station is full. I don't know if we are going to be able to do that. And if we cannot, that means you better have... Okay. How do I describe this? We're back to Microsoft Paint. Let's say this is kind of the method we're thinking, right? Let's say that rather than a different material, this is actually the same material. You've got like station 1 and station 2 for the same material. So train 1, it unloads. You're gonna, since we're unloading on like specific tracks, then like this first one right here is where you're gonna want to send, oh shit, this first one right here is where you're gonna want to send both trains. The reason you do that is it saves you a whole bunch to build it. It saves you building 1 million of these. Like they're both iron, so they're both gonna go out right here, right? So the problem, if we don't have the ability to signal when this is open, the problem that you could get is train 1 finishes loading, goes down here, and sits right here to unload. As it does that, train 2 fills up, goes down here, and sits right here to unload. And because of that, train 3 cannot get past to go where it needs to go. And so it's blocked. You can solve this by only letting this unload for up to 15 seconds, and then it can go. But still, you get a whole bunch of 15-second things, and all of a sudden, you're way backed up. One potential solution to this that I really like is just basically make these all a little bit longer so that they can hold multiple trains. So that they can all be waiting on multiple trains. You can also... You can make it so that it's only outbound when it's full. So it only leaves the input place, the place where it grabs materials, when it's full. Which means there are fewer trains on the tracks. That's a good solution. If it only leaves when it's full, then it won't be running every 15 seconds through here and creating traffic. It will be running every however long it takes to get full. And then every time it arrives, it is taking up 15 good seconds when it sits there, or whatever it's called. I'm so impressed by all the forethinking. I just built stuff and fixed it along the way, and you can be sure there was a lot of fixing involved. You're impressed by the forethinking until you realize that I'm about to be paralyzed by the forethinking. I'm about to be paralyzed by the forethinking, and I'm gonna choose the wrong. I'm gonna choose the wrong decision now, and then in 60 hours, I'm gonna be rebuilding my bus fucking vertically. So that's what you're. That's what you're missing out on. Okay. We need to do a couple things of science here. Oh my god, this is going to be so much train track to lay down by hand. Holy shit. I think we just want to run this like as far as we can for now, though. I wonder, and I don't necessarily want to test this myself, so I'm going to ask a front seat question here. Because I do not want to waste the material and the mess it would take to test this. But one consideration we have not thought about is if trains run slower when the freight car is full or has material in it. I'm going to call that weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, but I don't know. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean, right? I'm going to call it weight. Front seat question, does the fullness or not fullness, aka the weight of a freight car, affect the speed of that train? Yes or no? I can phrase that another way if you would like. Hazy. Okay, here's my question. Option 1, take these plus like a million. Take like a bunch of these. Option 2, is there a difference in speed between 1 and 2? Okay, no, interesting. I would have guessed that because that would be insane to try and put into your game. But you know, I don't know. Try not to assume anything. Okay. The other consideration we may need to think about here is that like these are limited by. It's possible they're like limited by like available power or some shit. I don't know. Who knows? Like they're normally it's like they're normally is the wrong word, but like sometimes these things are fueled. And the different fuels make the different speeds. I'm really nervous if I just keep going straight, I'm gonna like run into a kill box or something. Okay. So let's do this. There's one thing I so much want to say, but uh-oh. Exclamation Tama. I think the way we're going to test this is simple. This is a straight line. Hopefully it's long enough that acceleration and deceleration guys, it gets so complex. It gets so complex. Right now I'm going to vaguely, so my thought right now for what we're about to do is vaguely test layouts for trains, right? Is the top speed. So one way to do that is basically put a train station at this end, a train station at this end, have it run the track. How fast did it go? That's a good question. That's one way to tell how fast the train would go in general, right? Across all kinds of tracks. The problem is it's way more complex than that. Does this have less acceleration and deceleration than this? The time we run is one thing, but what happens if we add curves, and curves are about acceleration and deceleration, and that this is actually slower because of deceleration, but faster in terms of pure top speed? Who knows? Who fucking knows? It's all complex. We're going to use this as a very bad stand-in for how to tell what type of train is going to be fastest. Yeah. And I have decided that for the sake of simplicity, we're going to try going with a solo, a single direction track. Because I think we need to, for my sanity. Okay. So I think I put these oh shit, I put these the wrong way though. Damn it. Should have put that as the start and this is the finish. Yeah? Oh, whatever. Anybody else's brain hurt? It's 3:15 p.m. Holy cow. Holy cow. Uh-oh, I'm trying to get an extra long USB cable delivered by stream tonight, and now it says 5 to 8 p.m. I don't know that that's going to work in terms of getting us Okay. Probably, is that connected? It is connected. Probably need to do like a little bit more. My brain doesn't hurt. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad you think so. We may be on a shitty like a phone as a webcam type of situation tonight for board game night. We'll see. Overlapping another object's clearance. In what way? All right. Oh my God. Look. It's been super impressive what you've learned so far. We're all rooting for you in spoiler chat. Hey, I'll take that. Thanks, guys. Thanks, spoiler chat. Okay, we need to go here. And just drive there and then stop. Because this is our start line. From there, we can add freights. I think what could be a really viable solution for this map and this game could be a one locomotive, one freight car system. I think it could be really good. Here's what I'm thinking. The amount that you bring to your station the ideal amount that you bring to your station is sort of determined by the amount you can use. Like if I can only bring in one freight car like shit. This is 8 times 4. Oh, I said the train station could hold 64, but it can only hold 48. Right? 48. So it can hold 32 stacks. So 3,200 reinforced iron plate. If I can use 480 of that per minute, then per minute, then I can use like 500 times. I can use like 6.5 minutes of it, 7 minutes of it before I need a new one. To me, that feels like a lot. Like 7 minutes before this train absolutely needs to be back here to unload more. That feels great. 7 minutes is a lot of time. I also won't be using. There's a 0% chance. I shouldn't say that. I think there's nearly a 0% chance I would be using 480 of most resources per minute. That's just kind of what I'm building my new vertical bus on. At least for now. One belt, that belt is 480 per minute. I think this is very, very capable because depending on the stacking of the item, that could be a whole lot of... Like, if we're carrying rubber, that's like 14 minutes of... before I need a train to come back in. If we did 2, then we've got like 30 minutes of rubber, assuming we're using 480 per minute, which we won't be, right? So I really think this is a very liable... like, one freight train is a very viable option for amount to bring in. The question could also be how many locomotives we put on it. Okay, let's run a test. I have a timer sitting on my desk. We're going to edit the timetable to add goes. Save changes. The minute this thing takes off. No path? What you mean? Okay, we're timing it. How long does it take this train to run the course? It's a 100-meter dash for trains. I think we should pause when we are completely stopped. Which is right about now. 29 seconds. Write that down. I fucking hate this. Okay. I mean, we could just back it up, right? I wonder if it goes backwards in the same amount of time. I feel like manually driving, I'm fucking flying. I am flying. I'm zooming. Okay, I'm gonna write down 29. Cool. So now we go. Turn that off. Okay. 29 seconds. Is it slowed by? No! Slow down, slow down, slow down. Is it slowed by having a second freight car? We would assume yes. We would assume yes. We're going to add and wait for 15 seconds to make sure that it tries to wait. Turn on self-driving. Go. Okay. So when this stops here, I didn't do it right. Shit. This is not going as fast as I thought it would be to test. I probably should just rebuild the fucking train. But we can't rebuild Testies McTesty Tester Son. Okay, next station is Norrköping, which is right here, right? Yes. Okay, go here, stop for 15 seconds, please. I think this will be slower. My hypothesis is this will be slower than 29 seconds. Okay, we're frozen. We should wait for 15 seconds. Nope, we did not. That's fine. We're going. I started the timer. My hypothesis is that with 2 freight cars, we're slowed down. I could be wrong. And how much we're slowed down really does matter, because if we get twice the amount of... And stop. I got 30, which is almost the exact... I mean, that's well within my instrument's error, aka my user error range. Okay. Well... I guess let's see... Why? You're docking. I hear you. But... docking is the most confusing thing about these trains to me. There we go. Let's see what happens when we add 2 freight trains. Locomotives. Because that's the thing I guess I'm more interested in, is the speed for power trade-off. If we add a second locomotive, we are taking more power, but we are also gaining speed, hypothetically, if this works as I assume it will, which we'll see. Which is probably the thing I'm more interested in rather than the more delivery or less speed trade-off that would be vice versa. Okay, we need to edit timetable. Add this one, then this one, and save changes. Call it testy. Turn on self-driving. Chat, do you have any predictions? I put them the wrong way. Well, of course we're going to be slower. I put the locomotives the wrong way. Shit. Shit. I mean, that would have been really funny. They're actively fighting each other? They might have been. I honestly don't know. On self-driving. Okay. Hypothetically, this will be faster. That happens to me all the time, putting the trains on backwards. When it takes off, which is now. Start the timer. This feels fast. Feels much faster. It's gonna be hard to tell. We really should have made this like 1,000, you know, 1,000 times the length, but ain't nobody got time or resources for that. Oh boy. Guys, I got 30. I don't know. It's possible it's possible that the error, the difference is so small that that I'm having trouble measuring it on my shitty little timer. It's also very possible that the combined weight it's possible that the track is way too short to tell, basically. That my acceleration is gained by adding a second locomotive is equal to the deceleration that is needed, is equal to the pro of adding a second locomotive is equal to the con, which is that I gain more acceleration, but it takes me longer to decelerate or whatever. Yeah. This is in some ways the worst possible outcome. Which is that we've done a bunch of science and sort of learned nothing. Yeah. The only thing I could think to do to like test it is we need to test the theory. If the numbers are that close, then the good news is we're in a pretty good spot no matter what we choose. But I'm very interested in figuring out the like actual answer here of like, is adding more freight trains actually meaning faster runs? So let's test that. This is a straight. There's no curve. It does have acceleration and deceleration. So with acceleration and deceleration, what happens when I put like 10 locomotives on? You've not disproved your null hypothesis. The problem is I don't remember what my null hypothesis was. We're just going to exaggerate it, basically. So if we exaggerate it, put a bunch more freight trains on it. Locomotives, I mean. One, two, three, four, five, six. We'll do 6. Seems fine. Add this one, then this one. Save changes. Testy 6. Turn on self-driving. Three, 2, 1, go. Not listing the not remembering the hypothesis as the #1 issue of why science doesn't get done. See, if we're if we're gaining as much as we're losing in terms of deceleration, but I got 29 that time, so it's all really fucking close. If we're gaining acceleration but also losing how long it takes me to decelerate, then on longer tracks, we still gain more because our top speed gets higher, right? I think that's what we've determined, is that our top speed gets higher. Oh boy, I should probably just front seat this to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly instead of building an entire trade system around it. Okay, I'm going to ask a front seat question. I need to think about how to ask it. Let's do it one step at a time here, right? So, when going between two stations, assuming all other things are equal, I'm going to ask this. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this correctly. I'm probably going to ask a series of questions. I'm just going to phrase it as, and you can tell me that the answer is hazy if you need to. Exclamation hazy if you need to. Assuming all else is equal, which is a funny phrase. This 1-to-1 train and this 2-to-2 train, which one hits the higher top speed? Which one hits the higher top speed, assuming all else is equal? Front seat question. Everything in me tells me that it should be the 2-to-1. Identical. I mean, that was also a possibility. Okay. Identical top speed, assuming all other things are equal. Okay. Next question. Which of these traverses that path quicker, assuming all things are equal? Which one is quicker on the on the thing? This is where I'm guessing the number of variables highly depends, but we'll see. Yeah, hazy. I'm guessing it depends on the amount of curves that you have to go through, because you decelerate when in a curve, and that includes, so like this train, if this train enters a curve, it has 3 cars to be in the curve where you decelerate, and this one only has 2, meaning it spends less time overall either decelerating or losing speed, I guess would be another way to say it. God, my physics understanding is so bad. I think that's probably one of the variables. Can I propose a test setup? At this point, yes. Don't tell me any answers, but propose a test setup, and I will either run it or I will just ask a front seat question about what the answer is, because I am it's 3:35 and I need to get off here in a second. I'm trying to think what else would be different between these two. They reach identical top speeds. Okay, I have one more front seat question, Shammy. And or whoever. Between these two trains, assuming all else is equal, which has a greater rate of acceleration? 1 or 2? Like 2-to-1 or 1-to-1? If acceleration is also identical, then... If acceleration is also identical... Identical. Okay, Shammy. Are all of the answers to the questions the same if I add a second freight car? Like, Jamie is our main spokesperson. Shout out to Spoiler Chat. I appreciate you all. Are all of the questions I just asked you the same if I add a second freight car? Their top speed, same? Yes. Okay. So, this is interesting. Let me think through that real quick, and then I'm going to read Tactical Fluke's question. So, or idea. So, their top speed is the same. And we know that the weight inside... So, it might just be that trains in this game are fucking simple. It might just be that trains in this game are so fucking simple. That might be it. Okay, one more question. Oh, you're good, Tony. You're good. Thanks. Chat's being great right now. Chat's being great. I'm asking a lot of front seat questions. And I gave permission. Okay. Next question. I asked between the same amount of freight cars, but I did not ask between different amounts of freight cars. Oh, you're totally good, Tony. You're totally good. We're lost in the sauce right now on train systems. And so so we're good. We're good. Yeah, Tony's just doing his job, Tactical Fluke. He's just being careful. We've had some unnecessary front seating this week, which was really annoying. So Tony's just looking out for me. Okay. Front seat question. Is the top speed of 1-to-1, this one, the same as top speed of this one? Yes or no? The top speed is the same. Okay. Second question. Will this train take the same time as this train to traverse a route, assuming all other things are equal, like they're doing the same route, etc.? Will they take the same amount of time? Top speed is different than will they take the same amount of time, which is why I'm asking this question separately. They will take the same amount of time. Then there's truly no reason to not... That's insane. What? Am I crazy for saying that shouldn't be how it works? That's bonkers. What? I'm not actually saying that shouldn't be how it works, but everything in me feels that is wrong. Because... Yes, but... Okay, interesting. That means the trade-off that you're going for between these two is not the speed with which they will traverse the track. It is the space they take up on the track, and that's the negative that you're giving off, and the amount that you're moving, which is the positive. One more question, just to make sure that I'm doing it. Is the acceleration and deceleration for this one the same as the acceleration and deceleration for this one? I think it would have to be, right? Because you said it would take the same amount of time for the track. I don't fucking know, man. My head hurts. Jesus Christ. Yes, it's the same. Okay. Hard Tama? Oh, boy. Okay, what was Tactical Fluke's potential idea? Set up identical parallel tracks, wire them together, put a power switch between them and the rest of the network, set up two trains to compare. I like that. Power switch to make sure they start at the exact same time. Interesting. What can a Hard Tama be on at this point? It does say nicknamed Leif by FICSIT Pioneers because of its reliability. Is that a Leif Erikson joke? What is that? Leif? Reliability? Meaning it just goes and pulls the same shit at the same speed no matter how much fucking shit is on there? Jesus Christ. So if everything you guys just told me is true, that means that it does not matter in terms of speed how much stuff, how many freight cars you put on the back of a locomotive. It also does not matter how many locomotives you stack on the front of a train. They will cover the same distance in the same amount of time. The space, again, is the consideration and the amount of stuff that you need. Except there's a hard tama, which is something that I'm not understanding, but oh boy. Interesting. I mean, space matters because it matters a lot for your signaling. Like, this is, you know, much longer than this in terms of comparison, because signaling all of a sudden gets really complex if you need to, like, put a signal here, put a signal here. This takes up way more space to go all the way down here. Uh-oh, why is dismantle crate everywhere? Uh-oh. Propose that as a yes or a no? That's the hardest. I really want to Tama, but I don't want to Tama I've ever heard. Propose that as a yes or a no. I need to dump some stuff out of my inventory. Chat, will a front seat question, will a train go the same speed and cover... Will a train cover a route in the same amount of time, no matter how many locomotives or freight trains it has on it? Yes or no? I don't know how that can make any sense. It's possible that I just haven't reached, like, a critical mass. Is it a critical mass thing? Is it a critical mass thing? Where it's like, what I mean by that is, like, once you hit a certain number of freight cars, it starts to slow down. Okay, here's how I'll ask this question. Front seat question. At what point will this train start to slow down? It's got 1 to 1. It's got 1 to 2. Is it, front seat question, is it 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5? What's the number? If it eventually slows down, there has to be a number, specifically. Right? By slow down, I mean traverse a route in a slower time. Uh-oh. When there's not an immediate answer from a front seat question, I start to get nervous. Not because I'm not so thankful for your front seat questions, but because I'm like, oh, shit. So 5 plus. So the ratio of 1 to 5 plus. Okay. So it'll have a greater speed at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then the minute you add, so like if we do this train right here, 1, 2, so sorry, in terms of freight cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That train will be slower than this train. Dope. Even if that's not exactly correct, even if I had 1 too few freight cars or something, that is very useful information. Okay, hell yeah. Why did they do it that way? I wonder if that's just... Why? I don't know why. I do not know why. Interesting. Seems weird to me, but as a solution. But maybe it's easier to code it that way. I don't know. I have no idea. Cool. All right, we just figured out a bunch of shit. What that tells us, what that tells me, is that the ratio of trains, which is so funny. The ratio of trains is what matters in terms of speed. I think there's crates in the... Yeah, the crates are in here. That's so funny. The crates are all stuck in the track. You see these? The reason I think the ratio's mattering more than the actual, like, physics of all of that is so funny is because that honestly strikes me as, like, a Factorio holdover. That sounds to me like the solution you would put into your game if you had played Factorio. That's just funny to me. Anyways. Either that or they knew that they would have players coming from Factorio. That's just funny. Ryan, I don't know how you have overlays set up. Can I try something real quick? Yes, absolutely. Is it the mod overlay thing? I think the mod overlay is working, if it's related to that. Yeah, try it. I'm keeping my eyes peeled. Neat? Wait. What happened? Oh, shit, I see it. Yes, that's what we're doing today. That's what we're doing today. It's hard to figure out placement this way. Yeah, it is. You have to like, you have to move it, then hit save, move it, then hit save. Yeah. This is us for the last 3 hours. It worked, though. I'm happy you tried that out, Tony. I'm really happy that we tried that out. I've been looking forward to getting that thing running for a while. Now the mods control us in whatever way they want. They have my permission. Just shove shit in here. I don't need any of this stuff for now. All right, let's go clean up crates. We've just learned what's important, which is that the amount of... the ratio matters. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that we want to try. The question is what we should do with that information. Should we try to fit as much in as possible and play in 1 to 4? Like I said, space is the downside. And if we're doing a system that gives you many, like, if we're doing like an artery and veins type of train system, then space is a commodity when it gets to these tight intersections that trains can only enter when they are not, when there's not another train in the system, in the intersection. I kind of lean towards like a 1 to 2 here. But I could be very wrong. I lean towards 1 to 2. Is this another crate? It is. Crates over here anywhere? God, I have so many materials just sitting out in the world. There should be a thought bubble on his avatar right now. What would you make that thought bubble say? Okay. Thanks for your patience, chat. We're getting there. We're figuring stuff out. Thanks for the lovely front seating. It's funny. I did make some assumptions that if there was no difference between 1 to 1 and 1 to 2, that meant that there would be no difference for anything else. But I guess it makes sense if you were like coding the game that like when you calculate the, rather than institute like a full physics-based system, I guess, about how your train system works, you're just like every individual locomotive adds this amount of acceleration, adds this amount of weight. It's not very instinctive. It does not feel very instinctive, but it does feel like hilariously to me, it kind of feels like a good enough coding solution where it's like, well, I think we got every dismantle. No, one more dismantle crate. They won't really know unless they try and break it by going for like 400 freight cars. That's funny. Yeah, it's probably just, I don't know. It's probably just that it's an easier, like, coding thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about game design to tell you, but interesting. I'm glad we know that now. Shout out to the front seat system. It worked. Let's Game It Out tested a lot of freight cars. Is Let's Game It Out the thing I keep being told to watch when I get done playing the game? We've been discussing how trains work in spoiler chat for a good minute. It sounds like we all use them a bit differently than one another and have different experiences with it. Honestly, I had a lot of fun and learned some things myself. Somebody in chat said earlier that trains are the thing with the most tutorials on YouTube. Like, there's a ton of train tutorials on YouTube. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Not to keep comparing it to the game, but like same deal with Factorio, where it's like trains get complex. Train signaling is not always very intuitive. There's just so many choices you can make, and you make them and then you build an entire system, and it fucks with your entire system if you did it wrong, you know? Like, our extra stuff in here. Got pulled away suddenly to deal with some frustrating apartment stuff. Not apartment stuff. Hope you're having fun with trains. I did have fun with trains. Thank you. I'm sorry, Carly. Everything end up all right? I hope so. Okay. What we should probably do is do one last run of bringing stuff to here. And then, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I had more fun doing train stuff than... Oh, nice, Tony. Nice. I think what I'm going to probably do is... we should talk... We should take a step back right now and talk about stuff. But, so we're kind of at a crossroads right now where I want to play with trains. I want to make trains. I want to work on oil and stuff. I don't really want to waste a ton of time, but I have a lot of like background stuff that needs done. I need to get a bunch of stuff plugged into our vertical bus, you know, tons of it. And that means waiting on encased industrial beams, etc. I also need to upgrade like our entire factory into Mark IV belts. I am probably going to do those things off camera, most likely before our next stream. Because it's just going to be time intensive. Another thing I want to do is go update our blueprint so that the names of all of these are over on our blueprint. And to do that, it's going to be like this. I have to run up, hit C. Did that work? Hit Control C. Run all the way over here. Control V. Hit Control V and then do that again like 32 more times. So I'm probably going to do all of that off camera in between episodes, in between streams, just because I don't feel like it's particularly... Just because I feel like I could do it, and it would keep our series moving a little bit faster and on to the next thing. You guys have watched me do enough belts, so... But yeah. I also don't know that I'll be streaming Satisfactory next week because I'm probably only going to get to stream one day next week, and I think we'll probably stream something different. So it might be a little bit before we come back to Satisfactory, but at the very least, it'll just be 2 weeks. So anyways, that's going to do it for Satisfactory today. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out while I lost my brain lost my mind with trains. See ya. Bye.